Hey, what's up, guys? It's Trevor here again, rolling around in the Tesla FSD around Wichita. I'm just here to talk to you guys some more about one of my favorite topics, which is the TSLA stock. Alright, so as you guys know, I am pretty heavily invested. I'm probably about 80-ish% in Tesla right now as far as my brokerage account goes. I also own some shares in some IRAs. But yeah, so just so you guys know that I am definitely putting my money where my mouth is on this stock. And I've ridden the roller coaster just like the rest of you guys have. We've been riding this thing. And, you know, in a few years when Tesla's $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a share, people are going to say, oh, you got lucky. Okay, well, all of you guys know that we didn't get freaking lucky. That we rode this roller coaster and we sat here with a gigantic sum of money, a majority of our net worths, in a stock that has like close to like a 200 price to earnings ratio. Like, let's just say you got to have some big to be able to have a lot of money in a stock that has such a high PE ratio. Anytime I talk to some of my friends that don't have any Tesla stock, that's what they always point to, is they say, hey, I can't be putting my money into a stock that has such a high PE when, you know, Disney or Nvidia or, you know, some other equity, public equity, has a super low price to earnings ratio and it's dipped, and that's what I want to buy now, and I want to sell after I make 30% profit or whatever. You know, everyone has their own different types of risk tolerances, but for us that are watching this video, I would assume that most of you guys own some Tesla shares. It's one of the highest owned public equities by retail investors. So, like I said, most of us probably own at least a couple shares. So, what I want to talk about today has to do with, obviously, the future of Tesla, the future of Elon in the company with this new pay package that everyone's voting on right now. And just how Tesla is going to change the world in the future in ways that we already know about, and then like in potentially ways that maybe people aren't talking about as much. All right. So first off, what do we know? We know they're focusing on electric cars, automated cars, like self-driving cars, stationary energy storage, as well as like renewable energy generation, solar specifically, right, with the solar roofs and solar panels for people's roofs, and then stationary energy storage with the mega packs. Yeah, and then we also know that they're focusing on humanoid robotics, as well as like factories that are highly automated factories to produce the products that I was just talking about. All right. So that's all somewhat priced in, you could say, at least a little bit priced in to a stock like Tesla. But the thing about the PE ratio with Tesla is that it's kind of like a make or break scenario, where it's like, yeah, some of this growth is definitely already priced into Tesla, but all of it's not. That's why it's just considered like an extremely expensive stock, where like this is fair market value for Tesla, which is like a 200 PE or whatever it is right now, really close to that, right? Because if they fail, then yeah, the stock's done for. If they fail on basically humanoid robotics and robotaxi, both, it's not looking good. But as long as they even, you know, execute well on just one of those ideas, the market cap's increasing. By what percentage? It depends on if it's robotaxi or humanoid robotics, right? But if they, you know, even if they succeed with one of these ideas, the market cap's exploding, the stock price is exploding. If they execute on both, like Elon's alluded to in previous earnings calls, he thinks the company could be worth $25 to $30 trillion. And we're sitting here now at like $440 stock price, and so the market cap's around $1.5 trillion. You know, you're talking about a 20x from here, really in the next like 5 to 10 years. it depends on when you think Optimus will be rolled out, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Optimus deliveries, especially for like B2B, like Tesla selling to other businesses for like manufacturing operations, by like the end of 27. So, and maybe earlier, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's kind of like the idea of like why people are investing now, right? They also have a decent chunk of Bitcoin compared to their cash. That's a pretty small amount of, you know, capital invested in Bitcoin compared to what they have in just cash on hand, which is probably a safer route, you know. And here, so that's kind of, like I said, that's kind of what we see right now, and that's just like what's been presented to us as an investor community, right? Now, the things that have not been, okay, so actually there's one other thing, and that is AI inference, right? Training other people's neural nets, because they're going to have this gigantic cluster of GPUs. Okay, so that could be a whole nother revenue / profit, you know, stream that Elon has alluded to in previous earnings calls as well. Now, the few things I have in mind that we might not have priced in is number one, drones. Like if Tesla gets into drones, lights out. You know, someone or multiple, there's probably a bunch of different companies that get into trying to, you know, fabricate and sell automated drones, you know. But I think Tesla's definitely in a position where they could lead with all their batteries that they produce, you know. Anyway, so you got the drones, you've got the idea of crypto. You know, they already own like a few $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. I think maybe it's over 1 billion, maybe less than 2 billion. I want to say they own around 10,000 Bitcoin. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. You know, they're already in, you know, and back in the day, what was it, 2020, 2021, somewhere around there, they started accepting Bitcoin, and I want to say Dogecoin, for purchases of Tesla vehicles. Right, so they've already shown that they are like, you know, interested in involving cryptocurrency in their business, right? So I heard the idea floated around a couple years ago that you could maybe use your electric car to mine Bitcoin when it's not being operated, right? So let's say the robotaxi is out here driving around, or it's even in your garage, you know, and there's some way of mining Bitcoin with your car. I'm not a Bitcoin mining expert. I'm not a cryptocurrency mining expert at that. So whether that would be something that could actually happen, I don't know. But there is definitely, you know, it's worth its weight to at least consider the possibility that this could be another profit stream for Tesla and for Tesla owners. Let's see, what else is there? There's also other bots, right? So like not just the humanoid bot form. So you've got dogs, we already talked about the drones, you know, all sorts of things like that. And then, you know, Tesla doesn't really have much defense work. But you'd have to imagine at a certain point, the DoD would be just licking their chops, you know, to try to get some sort of product, futuristic product, out of a super innovative company like a Tesla, you know. And what could that be? You know, we've already talked about eVTOLs, we talked about the drones, you know. And maybe it's just Tesla being a supplier of a bunch of batteries, you know. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of different opportunities, and doesn't even bring up, like, I kind of talked about the AI inference, training other people's neural nets, right? So with the AI that they're developing and the real world AI they're developing, who knows what other business cases could come from this? You know, you've got, bottom line, you've got the best engineers in the United States, you know, out of the Ivy League universities, the Stanfords, the MITs, the Harvards, you know, etc., the Princetons, the Yales, that are all trying to get into Elon companies, whether that be SpaceX or Tesla. They've been the number 1 or number 2 desired employers for engineering graduates for like a long time, like 5-10 years, maybe longer, I'm not sure, but like a long time. So if you've got the smartest people in the most free country with the best free market and capitalism thriving and, you know, encouraging like an acceleration of innovation, that's the culture at Tesla and SpaceX, right? Is like accelerate innovation. Don't get complacent, and accelerate, specifically accelerate innovation. And when you put that all together with the smartest people in the U.S., I mean, the possibilities are endless. Not to be too cliche here, but it's like it is just wild to think about that what they've disclosed to us so far, what Elon and the Tesla leadership team has disclosed to us, is already potentially, you know, over $30 trillion worth of market cap. So like literally over like 20x from here, right? So we're at the beginning of Tesla's impact on real world problems, right? And that's not even including anything that they're working on internally that they haven't brought to our attention, or anything that they haven't even thought of yet, right? Because who knows what AI, you know, humanoid robotics, robotaxis, who knows how this is actually going to affect the daily life of U.S. citizens, as well as the world, you know, like, because Tesla's a world company, you know, it's not like Teslas are only here in the U.S., no, they're everywhere, and they're going to impact the entire world. So, yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts while I was riding in the FSD today, thinking about, you know, the impact on the real world, the physical real world that Tesla is going to have, you know, and I think it's going to be massive, and I think it's going to help so many people, and it's going to deflate the prices of so many needs, not even just wants, and needs of the world, of the individual citizen of the world. It's going to be able to provide such, you know, cheap, you know, such a cheap way to facilitate life, you know, with robotaxis and humanoid robotics. Everything's going to get way cheaper. So anyway, thanks for hearing me out, guys. If you made it this far, definitely subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. Need more people like you guys to talk to about Tesla stock and other stocks that I'm investing in, cryptos, you know, just anything like that. I love talking to people. Just, you know, comment on the video if you got any questions, or if you want to get to know me a little better, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for listening to me and hearing me out. All right, have a good rest of your day.